Hey, I'm Jeff and welcome back to another video. This monstera here beside me has been showing some signs of some stress recently. It has some droopy leaves, so we'll try and figure out what's going on with it. So let's check it out. Diagnosing exactly what is wrong with your plant simply by looking at the leaves can be pretty difficult, but it can definitely narrow it down to a few things. You can see this one has some leaves that are curling upwards. These ones are curling downwards. It's looking very droopy. This is the newest leaf, and probably about a week ago, it doesn't seem like it's sizing up anymore, and it actually felt really thin. So I gave it a really good soaking and it kind of perked up a little bit, but it's just not looking healthy. Now when it comes to diagnosing a plant that has something like droopy leaves, you have to kind of walk through a little bit of a checklist, and I have some stuff written down here. But the first thing for droopy leaves is it can be inconsistent watering. So that can either be underwatering or overwatering. The reason why I keep swinging around this little bamboo skewer is this is how I check my plants that are in larger pots. Basically, I put this right in the soil, push it all the way to the bottom. I let it sit there for a few seconds. If there is any soil on the skewer itself, then that is where the soil line is. So pretty much nothing, maybe a little bit just at the bottom here, but it's barely even wet. So there might be a little bit of moisture just at the very bottom. So this is pretty much bone dry, so it definitely needs to be watered. Now that doesn't mean we're done with diagnosing the plant. We have to walk through a couple other things. The next thing is light. Sometimes if you have a plant in too much light or not enough light, then that will reflect in the leaves as well. So I'm going to use my light meter in foot candles. So I'm going to place this at the level of the leaves, and it's getting around 500 foot candles. So that is in the medium light range. And this is sufficient light for the plant. So this is not a light issue, and I should say that all of mine are growing with the assistance of grow lights. So light is not a factor in these droopy leaves. This next one shouldn't really be a problem when you grow your plants inside, but having extreme temperature swings. Now, probably the one to consider the most is when you have really high temperatures that just causes the soil to dry out really quick, causing kind of that droopy leaves. Mine here right now are grown in my basement. It is 22 degrees. Now another thing, it would be humidity as well. For certain types of plants, they might require high humidity. This just requires just regular house conditions, and it's 43% in my house right now. So temperature's fine and humidity is good, so we'll move on to the next. For this monstera, I use a slow release fertilizer, so I know it's not a nutrient issue, and sometimes you'll probably get some leaf discoloration, but you can see these little round balls right there. That is a slow release fertilizer. So what I'm thinking is wrong with this plant is obviously there is a watering issue. My suspicion is that this plant is extremely root bound. So finding out what's wrong with a plant, you have to dig deeper, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. Anytime you have a struggling plant and it can be related to like a watering issue or something like that, it probably has to do with the roots. So you have to take it out of the pot. So now I have to try and figure out how I'm going to get this large plant through this little walkway here and out to this area so we can pull it out of the pot. I definitely need one of those little like wheelie things. So there's many obstacles like my lights and plants. Okay, so far so good. Slowly walk it out. Just like my water monstera, this one might be trapped in the basement now. Uh-oh, something fell over. An orchid. Okay, we got one casualty. Oh, geez. At least it didn't completely fall out of the pot, but I'll have to fix it up later. And again, more soil on the floor. I literally just vacuumed, but okay, we'll put that right there. Oh, I got a dust. Right now, this is a 12-inch terracotta pot. I did get two different sizes of these large plastic tubs. This is a 14-inch pot. What is this one? This is a 7-gallon or 22-liter tub. And then I got the large one, or a larger one. What is this? This one is 16 inches and it is a 10-gallon tub. So I'm going to pull the plant out, see which container is best, whether it's the 14 or 16 inch plastic pot. So because I have this very large project, I reached out to VeryPlants to ask if they would like to sponsor today's video. I pretty much use VeryPlants for every one of my tropical plants. And I recently found out they have a new size. This one is the 25 quarts or 1 cubic foot of their soil. Come on. Get a big bag like that. So thank you for today's sponsor of the video. Now let's take this plant out of the pot, and I'm pretty sure we have enough soil to fill up one of these containers if we need. And we got another casualty. Just moving this off to the side. Oh boy, stuff falls over all the time. Okay, little floppy, but that's for another project. There's a couple things I want to show. This right here, we have a whole bunch of roots poking out the bottom. Didn't even notice that. And there's actually roots poking out the top. So this is a clear indication that this is probably root bound. So the root ball at the base is probably so dense that when new roots grow, it pushes out the top. So all I'm going to do is just use my little butter knife here. I'm just going to poke it down as far as I can go, and I'm just going to push it forward like this. So I'm just separating some of those aerial roots that might be sticking to terracotta, like to the side of the pot. If this was in a plastic nursery pot, you could just like bang the sides and that should loosen it up, but unfortunately this one is in terracotta, so it might be a little more difficult. So, and just push it forward like that. Now I'm just gonna see if it's loose, if I can loosen it up. It's actually, feels like it's gonna come out. So, there. It's actually not as root bound as I thought it was going to be. Like it's definitely, oh, we lost the roots on the bottom. I don't want it to fall over, but look at all the roots. It just pulled off the bottom. But it's not terrible actually. A lot of the soil has just fallen off the top, but this is what I wanted to show you. So the roots, it grew to the bottom and then it could no longer like encircle the bottom. So it started to grow up along the side of the pot all the way to the top. So you can see all of these roots are sticking out the top. So definitely it needs to be repotted. It just ran out of space. This is one big solid root ball. Here's a little window. This soil just kind of fell out, but this is the stem, like where I previously made the cut. So I placed it in the pot. It kind of grew like along the base, and then I added the support stake, and then it started to grow upright. So kind of grew like horizontally for a little bit, and then it started growing up the support stake and it started getting larger leaves. So pretty cool root system. You can see all of those roots just started to grow to the top. So definitely it has outgrown the pot. If you start to see these roots poking out the top of the pot, put it in something a little bit larger. Now I'm just deciding which pot to place it in. I don't want it too large. So the next size, which is typically what you do when you repot a plant, you go up one size. You can see there's, I'm just pushing this right to the front. You can see there's quite a bit of space kind of along the sides. I can add a little bit of soil in the bottom as well. Now when you bring it over to this pot and I place it in here, it's just, there is like way too much room. So I think I'm gonna save this for the next time it needs a repot. This will be the last tub that I use, just because I can't keep continuously upsizing it into larger and larger pots. Like, yeah, I'll have to do a root prune or chop the plants. So I'm gonna be placing it in this one. It should have enough room along the sides, and I'll add a little bit of soil on the bottom there as well. I just removed all these support ties and I separated the plant from the plank. I'm gonna keep it in the pot here, but what I wanna do is add in some holes so I can add these wood dowels just to provide it some directional support as it goes up the plank. So I added 2 on the back here, so it will now prevent this side of the stem from growing off to the side of the plank, and then I added 1 up here as well. I'm just gonna turn that around so it'll keep it nice and center on the plank. I just have to show this here. So these holes are fairly large, and I just realized like a lot of the soil is just flowing out. Now I don't really have any like plant mesh or whatever people use, but I do have a drywall mesh roll on hand. It's sticky on the back, so all I did was place it over the drain hole. It sticks down perfectly like that. So you can see it stays in place, it covers the holes, and I think we're good to go. I'm going to take my big VeryPlants bag, open it up, I'm going to dump the soil in. There is a discount code in the description of this video as well. So if you need a good quality mix, I highly recommend checking it out. Okay, so that looks pretty good. I'm going to keep the plant at the back of the pot, or the plank at the back of the pot here again. Oh, I forgot a little scoop. I'll use this pot. Now all I'm going to do is scoop in the soil and just dump it along the sides. So now the root system will have enough room to grow laterally in the pot as well as down. I'm probably going to get some questions regarding why I didn't break up the root ball at the bottom. I typically don't, unless it is like just encircling like the entire pot. Then I might just loosen up the bottom of the roots a little bit, but generally I leave the roots alone. They will figure it out. They will grow new roots and search out into the new spaces of the soil. But you can go both ways. I know some people like to break up the roots. You're risking, I guess, shock to the plant. I just, for the most part, generally leave the roots alone. Even for these bigger projects, get a pencil, get a bamboo skewer, whatever it is, and just make sure all that soil is filling in those air gaps, especially at the back, like where it's a little bit tougher to, you know, to push dirt down or soil down. Just make sure you fill all those voids so the plant is remains stable in the pot. Now I have to get this plant over to my bathroom there to spray it down. I do have a garden hose in my basement. I will be watering it just because it did need a good thorough watering before I did the repot. It was pretty much bone dry. So I'm going to take it over, give it a good soaking. That will help settle the soil as well. I just filled it just kind of below the level of the top of the pot, the brim. So yeah, I'm really happy that I was able to get this project done today. So let's give it some water. Look at the big gap where the plant was. So I come on over here, it completely fills the shower stall. Now here's my little garden hose, and I'm just going to spray down the plant. Normally I'd take this outside, but it's just, it's a little breezy today. Temperatures are still okay. It's definitely cold in the morning, but yeah, I'm just gonna water it in here. Clean off all the leaves as well. Just give it a good soaking. Let that drain through. Let's see, it's coming out the bottom. Yep. My little mesh thing is working as well. So water the plank. The only time I spray off the plank is when I water the plants. That's the same thing with my pothos and all of those. So the only time I water the plank is when I water the plant. Okay, I'm just going to walk back here just to show it's back in its position here underneath these grow lights. Now I did want to mention one more thing in regards to not breaking up the roots. I should mention that if the soil is absolutely rock hard, if it's extremely compact, I will definitely break up the roots. But the soil, this stuff remains pretty chunky, pretty fluffy, even when it's root bound. So that's why I didn't break up the roots. I just wanted to clarify that. If it's extremely rock hard soil, if it's compact, then water's not able to penetrate that soil. So definitely break it up if you have rock hard soil. But here is the plant. It is freshly watered. Now I'm simply just going to let it do its thing, and hopefully it will reward me with another new leaf here soon. So I think that's going to be pretty much it for this video. If you have any other comments or questions, please leave it down below in the comment section. If you want to try out VeryPlants soil, they have aroid mix, they have a cactus succulent, as well as an orchid mix, which I do have all of my orchids in. Go check it out. And again, there is that discount code. So thanks for watching all my videos. Take care, everyone. Bye.